If you're looking to set up a business in the UAE, the process online seems very complicated when actually it's very straightforward, and I will explain the step-by-step process and my experiences in this video. You need to know your business activities first, because you can't really predict or choose anything until you have that. Different activities are offered in different jurisdictions, different activities have different prices, different activities allow you to do different things, so you need to figure those out first before you can make any other decision. Try to keep it small. I'd say to start off with 1 or 2. Don't get too greedy, because the more activities you have, the more compliance checks there will be with bank account opening. And usually 1 or 2 will cover everything that a company offers anyway. So you've got your business activities ready, then you need to inquire through either the free zone directly or a consultancy to check pricing and free zones available. Once you have those, then obviously ask for their contracts to go through their terms and conditions, so then you're not signing up to something with a surprise. Obviously, once you've found the one you like, then you choose them and you go through them to help you set up your company. The application will then be submitted to the free zone and then be put under review. At the same time, they will do a trade name reservation, which is where you give 3 potential business names in order of preference. If you have a mainland company, you can work with anyone. If they're local, international, anywhere. So mainland will be non-restricted, so you should work with them. It's the best choice because it's non-restricted on who you can work with. Also, it means you're legally compliant, so you're not going to face any issues moving forward. Also, if you start with a free zone company and your company grows, you're most likely going to have to move to a mainland company anyway. So if, like I say, if you're already working locally and you obviously want to grow the business, then mainland would be the better option. And also, it doesn't require an Emirati anymore. You don't have to have huge office spaces anymore. It can be a smaller one, so it's become a lot more cost effective. Do you know what I mean? And an easier choice for people to go for. For your office space for a mainland company, you can choose anywhere within that emirate. So if it's a Dubai mainland company, you can have your office anywhere in Dubai. So for mainland companies, you need to put forward 3 potential trade names in order of preference. Also, you have to be aware that at the end of your trade name that is given to you, your business activity will be mentioned there. So for example, if your activity is marketing management, it would be company name ABC Marketing Management LLC. So it's quite long, but it's mandatory. They put it there for every company. After that, so once you've got your trade name, they would move on to the initial approval. In order of preference is how you have to do it, just because what they're going to check is that name is available. Obviously, they can't give you the same name as another company. 99% of the time, people want the English name, but you can have it in Arabic too. It's actually cheaper to have it in Arabic. You give the 3 options in order of preference. The name, obviously, it can't have any like curse words in it, for example. It can't have anything religious in it. So there are some rules you have to follow, quite obvious rules. Also, they're quite particular about words like Dubai, Middle East, UAE, things like that. It's very difficult to get in the name too. If you have marketing management, you can't have consultancy in the name, for example. Yeah, no, that's not allowed. It has to obviously be relevant. You can't have like Kate's Management Consultancies Marketing Management when I don't have a management consultancies. Everything is fine with those 3 names. If they're all available, then you'll get your first choice. So then that will be issued and you will get, it's like a little certificate for your trade name reservation. That's valid for 6 months. Initial approval is kind of like the government's internal check, just to make sure you don't already have lots of outstanding licenses, or that you're the manager on maybe 50 licenses that haven't been renewed and things like this. So it's not checking sort of your history in your home country necessarily, it's just checking your history regarding business in the UAE. Some people, especially Emiratis, they will still be on people's licenses because of the rule 2 years ago when they had to be. So there will be maybe 50 companies under that Emirati's name. Either he'll be a shareholder or a manager, something like that. Maybe these licenses haven't been removed, so then that's what they're looking for. Next step is legal documents. So memorandum of association. There are 2 ways to do this, so again it will be dependent on your situation, how you want to do it. So the first way is you go directly to the DED to sign it. It's like an automatically generated template they do. You go there, sign it, you can literally have it done in 10 minutes. The other way to do it is you would get it drafted by a typist or a law firm. You'd get your own powers included in it. You can split powers between managers and shareholders and things. So you can be very specific in it. That will be signed in Dubai Court's notary. You can also do that one online if you need to. So if you can't travel to the UAE for that signature, then you can pay for that part of the service and then do it online. So then obviously we have to link an office address to your license. Usually your consultant can help with that, or if you have one yourself, then that's fine. You just need to provide the Ajari, because Once we have that, we then need to submit it and then get the license. What you need to have is you need to have a tenancy contract or an ijari. So with this, it says obviously the address of your office, it says how big the office is, it says your annual rent, all of these things. You need to be careful with your annual rent as well, because when you finally submit all the documents to get your license, there's something called a market fee which will be added on. This is 5% of your annual rent will be added to your license price.
How much it costs to have set up like this in the mall?
Somewhere between, say, 10 and 50,000 dirhams a day.
A day?
Yeah, a day. But the actual setup cost would be, let's say, 500,000 to 1 million dirhams.
Wow. Is it worth it?
Of course it's worth it. You always get gold at the end of the rainbow.
So if you have a small office, obviously it's fine. But let's say you've hired half of Dubai Mall when you're paying millions and millions. That's going to dramatically affect that, and most people aren't aware of it. So most people for offices, they'll go for like a minimum size where you could maybe fit 2 or 3 people in the office. But then again, it will depend on your activity. Maybe you need a specific size of office, or I don't know, specific location, something like this. So after you've done your office, if there's no additional approvals or anything, some activities require approvals at different stages. But as a standard setup without an approval, after this, it would be submission of documents, and then obviously we wait for the trade license to be received. Trade license proves you have an active company in the UAE. On your trade license, it will mention your company name, your license number, the shareholders, who is the manager, your office address, and your business activities. There are 3 types of license. You have commercial, professional, industrial. Professional is services, so things like consultancies and stuff like that would be under that. Commercial is trading, so anything to do with trading will be under there. And industrial is manufacturing. That's the easiest way to split those. It will be connected to your activities, but some activities in mainland as well. So you could have, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but you could have 2 activities with the same name, but they're in different license groups. Like one will be professional and one will be commercial. And this is because it's sort of on the border, do you know what I mean, between them. So then they understand that if you have a commercial license, you can only add commercial activities to that license. Where that activity is in between, you can still add that to a license where it's relevant. The establishment card or immigration card is what links your company to the immigration system and allows you to add on your investor visas. Now, you can only have investor visas if you have obviously individual people mentioned as investors on your license. If you have a corporate shareholder, you will not be able to have that. So once you start the establishment card process, you then start the investor visa process pretty much at the same time. Next step is investor visa. So when you start your investor visa process, the first step will be the e-visa and then the change status. These 2 bits kind of put you in limbo between being a tourist and a resident. Once you've got your change status, we then move on to the medical test. The medical test consists of blood tests and x-rays, checking for HIV and tuberculosis. Everybody has to have this when they do a new visa and upon their renewal. For employee visas, for example, you can start them before the person even enters the UAE. You can get them what's called an entry permit, which is valid for 60 days when it's been issued. They have that amount of time to enter the UAE and then continue with the process. So the next step would be their medical. For the investor visa, you have to be physically in the country to open the establishment card first. And then obviously you start your visa immediately afterwards. Medical test is very easy. So book the appointment, obviously, once the change status has been received. Then the visa applicant would go there. They would do their blood tests and x-rays. And then leave it. The whole process takes about 20 minutes. It's not very long. You don't have to do like a bleep test or anything like that. After that, what we do is we then process the actual visa. So the visa's not in the passport anymore. It's a PDF, like a digital copy. You get a PDF. It's also on the ICP app. So we would process that. If the system is working normally, usually you get it in an hour or so. If not, it might be 2 days. So it will just depend. And then in parallel to that, we will start the biometrics application. We'll request for it. When we get that application, it will come with a location, a time and a date, which is automatically generated by the system on availability. However, if you can't make that appointment, we can try and change it. After that, you have to wait for your Emirates ID to be delivered. Once you have that, you can then start opening your bank account. You can open your labour file if you need to add employees to your licence. Your Emirates ID is going to be your most important document. We like to say 5 working days to be safe, but you can get it in 2. realistically. There's a courier service, so you have to wait for it to be printed and then obviously them to deliver it. Again, that's dependent on availability at the time. At the moment, they're very quick. There was a stage though where it was taking a long time from the point we received the application to the actual point of the appointment, you know. So at the moment, usually when we request it, we get the appointment within 2 days, but there was a time when it was like 2 months. It was crazy. So we tend to recommend WEO to start off with. WEO is a digital bank based out of Abu Dhabi. It's still regulated by central bank. It's a little bit like Revolut in the UAE, but they will open your account within 5 to 7 working days. Whereas a local bank like Emirates MBD or something will take 2 months approximately. So we recommend doing that just because it's quick and it's easy. Start having some transactions, building history for your company, and then in parallel you can set up your local bank, or you can wait 6 months until you've got that history, and then it will be a lot quicker for you to open your local bank. They only have 4 currencies at the moment. Also, it's a monthly subscription for the package, and there's no branches, so if anything, God forbid, did happen, you can't go in and sort it out. You have to wait for them to answer the phone. Some people stay with WEO for the whole time. Other people need different currencies. Maybe some people want to go with a bank because they get better points when they use their card or something along those lines. So it just depends on your specific needs. Set WEO up just because you will have the card and the account open so quickly, so you can send and receive money. Set that up. In parallel, you can start setting up your local account. And then at the same time, you'll be building up transactions with WEO anyway. So I'm achieving 2 things at once. If the bank didn't want to open the account, then you're already a few months into getting 6 months worth of statements, and then you can go back. Some banks will try and get you to put in like a deposit that is there all the time. Some won't. It depends on the type of account you need. It depends on everything. Also, bank representatives are salespeople, so they will try to get you to put higher amounts in the account as a fixed or as a minimum, but you don't necessarily have to. So just because they say you have to, maybe challenge it. If you want to start adding employees, if you need, additional approvals or permits, or you need updations in the system, maybe you need to change your shareholder or change the amount of shares you have, the capital, something like this, then you need to work with somebody to assist you with those services, because it's very tricky to do by yourself. PRO services is something we assist with as well, so it's not just the setup of the company, it's the aftercare too.